Oh, Saudi Arabia. They may not have won, but their style of play has well and truly brought a ton of entertainment to this World Cup, among others, such as France, who are looking great. No, hey, I'm Adrian. Welcome to yet another World Cup recap. I'm having a blast covering this tournament for you guys. And if you're new to the channel and want more daily uploads to experience this tournament with myself and the community, why not subscribe? Hey, it's free. Also, we'll have another live watch along for the Canada game against Croatia tomorrow. So if you don't have anyone to watch the game with, then join myself and the community and get active in the chat. Discuss it with us. Ask questions. Provide your insights. Poland, Saudi Arabia, I mean, what a match. I'm finding that a lot of the matches I have enjoyed the most from this World Cup have involved teams from AFC, from the Asian Federation. Saudi Arabia delivered once again, as they did against Argentina when it comes to the entertainment, but they just couldn't get the result. The first half was wild, plenty of cards, a goal from Zielinski with a nice setup from Lewandowski after he had come close yet again to his first World Cup goal, but there was great work down Poland's right, so shout out Matty Cash, the Polski boy. Then the whole penalty drama unfolded. Definitely not the most savage of fouls from Poland's Bielik, but it was a bit clumsy and invited the referee to have to make a decision where it either goes against you or for you, and in this case, it went against Bielik. Penalty is taken, Szczesny saves it and the rebound after it, and some people wonder if it should have been retaken or if he had a millimeter of his heel on the line. This is modern football, arguing over millimeters for offside calls and keepers' penalty positions on the line. However, when you look at when the penalty was taken, before Al-Dawsari had struck the ball, Al-Burek had already encroached into the area. He's the dude who had the rebound saved, by the way. So I guess two wrongs make a right here in some cases. What do you guys think? Personally, I'm good with how it was. I guess the Saudi argument would be that the first infraction is the one that needs to be called, which would be the heel not being on the line from Szczesny. Or was it on the line? I mean, you tell me once you get your magnifying glass out. In the second half, Saudi Arabia were playing beautiful football, quick, intricate passing around the box, carving out chances for themselves that they could not finish, unfortunately, transitioning quickly from defense to attack with 2 or 3 passes. They were looking good in that regard, but it was Poland who had the better opportunities on the counter. Playing with that high line for Saudi Arabia, pushing for an equalizer, no less, that has some downsides for them. And Poland were seemingly happy to exploit those downsides on the counter, hitting the post twice in the second half. And as always the case when you play such a good game going forward and escape punishment thanks to the woodwork on the defensive end of things, there's only so long until your luck runs out, and it's often in a really, that's the goal we conceded kind of way. Al-Malki takes one loose touch on the edge of the box, and who else but one of the best strikers in the world there to pounce. Robert Lewandowski does so and finally slots the ball past the keeper for his first World Cup goal. 2-0 Poland. They get a big win to go on 4 points following their draw with Mexico, and they look good value for it. Unfortunate once again for Saudi Arabia, who again played really well for the most part and looked genuinely great at times going forward, but they just couldn't convert any of those chances. That or Szczesny was there to stop the rest, so a huge game from the Polish keeper. Argentina versus Mexico. We had a situation on our hands where Argentina could not lose, or else they would be out of the World Cup already. The stakes were high, and man was the noise ever high once again from the Mexican supporters. My favorite supporters at this World Cup so far, maybe. Argentina were second best for much of the first half, not even getting too close to the Mexican box until about the 24th minute, with Messi dictating the play and bringing his team further up the pitch. Other than that, Mexico were controlling this game well, taking a leaf out of the Saudi Arabian book and being far more mobile than Argentina, who were simply too slow both in possession and standoffish when without the ball. For their part, Mexico were predictable in fighting for every square inch on that pitch. That continued throughout the first half, where no keepers were tested that much beyond a strike from Mexico's Vega that produced an incredibly aesthetically pleasing catch from Emi Martinez in Argentina's goal. If I'm Scaloni, I'm 1, tearing into the Argentina players and trying to get them fired up and willing to run through walls in that second half, and 2, I'm taking off Rodrigo de Paul, who has been an incredible letdown, but to be fair, the rest of Argentina has been as well at that point. Who do I put on? Someone who can actually unlock defenses and play inch-perfect, line-breaking passes. Someone like Enzo Fernandez. De Paul can do that too, but he's just in bad form. That substitution did happen, though it was Guido Rodriguez who went off for Enzo. But of course, we all know what the most likely situation would be, or rather who the most likely savior would be for Argentina. Lionel Messi, of course. If ever there was a time for him to step up for his country, it was in this match when his country was potentially facing elimination, and he did. From about 22 yards out, Messi hit a low swerving strike that just nestled in the corner of Ochoa's left. Perfect strike. You'll see later, but that goal took Messi up to 8 World Cup goals, equal to Maradona, and 1 beyond Mbappe. This will make sense later in the video. Once Argentina finally scored, it was as if all of the nerves from this tournament had dissipated. Suddenly, Messi was a menace out there. Alvarez coming on added a lot to their attack. They started carving out more opportunities while Mexico looked like the team that didn't know how to go forward. Like I said last time, this Mexican team is seriously lacking in any sort of bite. They're strikerless. Man, I was absolutely cheesing staring at the screen, watching my Benfica boy Enzo Fernandez pull off that absolutely brilliant goal to make it 2-0. Corner taken short, comes to Enzo. He drops a couple step overs before curling an absolute peach of a strike into that far post. Beautiful goal for Enzo. He must start the next match for Argentina. He's too good. All I can say is that the ending to this group is going to be wild. Mexico are yet to score, and they play Saudi Arabia, who will feel confident they can get a result against Mexico. Meanwhile, Poland will face Argentina. Argentina will need a win, while Poland could go through with a draw, most likely. Anything is possible. Too many variations in outcomes. Realistically, all 4 teams can still move on going into the final match day, which is on Wednesday, the 30th of November. It's going to be wild, my friend. I might have to do a watch along and keep an eye on that group. Tunisia and Australia, a match of 2 halves, wasn't it? The Socceroos were coming into this after showing a few moments against France where they have the quality to trouble their opposition going forward. Well, the same could be said of Tunisia. After becoming known for their defensive work under Kadri, they still continued to struggle in the attack against Australia, at least in that first half. They had 1 or 2 good chances. However, much of that was helped by the fact that Australia were once again quite good in the first half, getting on the ball and causing problems for Tunisia's back line. A lot of danger coming from Craig Goodwin down Australia's left. In the 22nd minute, Goodwin's run ended with a deflected cross into the box that Mitchell Duke was live to, directing a looping header across the goal and past Ayman Dahman in goal. Cue the scenes in Fed Square back in Australia. That's how the first half would progress, driving runs through the Tunisia back line from Australia now and then, seeing attempts go wide from set pieces. Then it all changed in the second half. Tunisia started to dominate the ball far more and started to look a little bit more like the Tunisia that we saw against Denmark. But again, attacks down Australia's left on the counter looked dangerous, coming close in the 73rd minute if it wasn't for a ball being just out of reach from a squared pass from McLaren. If only Australia had a right wing in this match. Leckie was not on it on the day, unfortunately, as that would have really mixed things up for Tunisia's defenders. They would have had more to think about than just that left side. In the end, Matty Ryan didn't have a ton of work to do in Australia's goal. Shout out to their back line, who really limited Tunisia to half chances, really. And so in hanging on, Australia's destiny is in their own hands now. They got to beat Denmark next, but in this wild World Cup, who knows what will happen, right? Well, for their part, Denmark took on France, and man, this team is dying for a Yusuf Poulsen in the attack, in my opinion. All respect to Cornelius, he gets out there and he works, but Poulsen is just another step above and is exactly what their attack is missing in this moment. And speaking of attack, we mostly saw France doing that in the first half, with Denmark trying to hurt them on the counter now and then, as Cornelius nearly did, but his shot was wide of the mark. I mean, I feel for any team that faces France, as their wing play with Mbappe and Dembele is just a step above everyone else in the world, really, besides maybe Brazil. And a nightmare for fullbacks and center backs alike, as the delivery from these two was just superb. There was one moment in particular where Dembele cut inside, then hit a switch long to Mbappe on the opposite end of the 18, who in turn hit a first-time cross on his left boot, no less, which was the perfect area for Giroud to attack. It was just sublime stuff at times for France, and they make it look so easy. Speaking of, the moment that tested Schmeichel, of course, came from a Dembele cross right on the head of Rabiot, and Schmeichel had to react incredibly quickly at full stretch to keep it odds even on the scoreline. Denmark started to come into the match a little bit as the half went on. as the way to hurt France is clear. Mbappe and Dembele won't defend much, but at the same time, if you leave them forward, you are leaving yourself susceptible to die on the counter. So Denmark started to find that balance a bit as the half went on, but again, what a difference Poulsen would make to this Danish side. Even Braithwaite, a little more danger on the ball, someone capable of dribbling at this French defense and holding up when need be. But there were to be no surprises in this one when it comes to the first goal scorer. A great attack down the left where Theo Hernandez and Mbappe played a neat little give and go before Mbappe's deflected strike just took it out of reach from Schmeichel. The build-up was stunning, and that goal was coming, really, as Griezmann came close prior. The goal, by the way, made it 13 goals in Mbappe's previous 13 caps, I believe. But from there, Denmark were a bit more adventurous, and they got results. From a set piece, Denmark got the equalizer with Andreas Christensen powering a header past Lloris from close range, and they continued to push for the winner from there. They were rightfully a bit nervous to push France for the reasons I mentioned, what with Dembele and Mbappe killing you in transition. But it's a shame, because when they do go at this French defense, they cause major issues. The threat from France, however, never really subsides, does it? Especially when they can sub out Giroud for Thuram or Dembele for Kingsley Coman, and a run from Coman led to a cross from Griezmann. What a driven cross from Griezmann to the back post, and Mbappe was there to tuck it in. France can seemingly coast when they want and nearly score when they want with the quality that they have. At 23, by the way, Mbappe is now joint 7th in all-time scoring for the French national team. He's level with Zidane, and funnily enough, that goal took him level with Lionel Messi as well as far as total World Cup goals when it was scored, of course. Not bad company to keep for a 23-year-old. Speaking of, France, with that 2-1 win, became the first team to secure their spot in the knockout stage of the World Cup, and Denmark can join them if they beat Australia, or Australia will join France if they beat Denmark. We'll see in the final match day. So guys, the curse of the defending champions is seemingly not hitting at this edition of the World Cup, so shout out to France and the Palo Santo and the sage that they have probably been burning. Also, a shout out to you for sticking around. Your presence is noticed and appreciated, and hopefully we'll see you again back here tomorrow, either for another World Cup recap or the watch along. So thanks guys for watching, and take care.